Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Tian, and in case you don't know about me or you've never been in my channel, I am an illustrator. I've recently turned ceramicist, and I am also an animator for Psych2Go as a freelancer. And so I thought I would share with you a little bit about the process of how I come about making these animations. And yeah, so I thought I'd record myself throughout the making of one of these animations and just talk to you through it. What is my process when I'm thinking about how to do the animation, the steps that I take, and so on and so on. So this is the first time that I do something like this, like my whole process and animation. It is not my main focus on this channel, but I thought that I'd share with you because I was trying this new style of animation, and yeah, I just thought I'd share it with you. So I guess without further ado, let's just get into it. Hey again, so welcome. This is the first part, which is sketching, and it is the equivalent of storyboarding. Since I break the entire animation on smaller scenes, I try to focus on scene by scene. And although I do have an overall idea of what I want the entire animation to be like, I just find it a lot easier to focus on smaller pieces of a whole when I have to tackle a new project. The idea for this video is very simple. I thought of our main character learning about the topic of the video, which is PTSD and BPD, in case that you are interested, through a show on TV and just relating to some of the things mentioned throughout. Side note, I also try to keep it as positive as possible when I get heavy mental health topics, and I never draw things that could be too graphic or triggering for others. But going back to the animation topic, usually I do a rough animation by sketching what I want the movement to be. I do mainly use Procreate's animation tool, since most of my animations are made frame by frame. And of course, if you want to animate for the industry, this won't cut it necessarily, since it is a very, very limited and basic tool. But it works for me because I keep my animations simple, and I usually complement them once I do the composition on my computer with After Effects. However, I think that if you're trying to learn how to animate and you have an iPad, Procreate can be a great program to begin with, since it is very simple and you don't have to learn a whole software to start animating. It just makes it fun and simple to just start playing around with the animation tool. The next part, once I have the rough sketch for the entire scene and the character animations, is redoing everything again. But this time with color and detail, which means that we are doing the final animation, right? The final drawings. Because doing all of this takes the biggest chunk of time of the entire process, I tried to develop a style that could help me make it fun and a bit easier and quicker to work with. This is why I mainly use colored shapes for characters and elements that will be animated, and only use the line art to add detail. It is so much easier to morph and change a blob of color than it is redrawing the lines every time our character moves. Plus, I think that it looks cute and fluffy, and it goes with the overall feeling of friendliness and inviting mood that I want to add into my videos, because sometimes we do deal with heavy topics, and I just want people to feel like they are invited to learn about them. This is also the first time I do detailed backgrounds. I'm not particularly good at visualizing interior spaces, but I have always wanted to draw them. I really wanted everything to be so colorful and lively, so I went and drew a cute house with bright walls and some elements I'd like to have in my real life home. This is, I believe, the first scene in which the animation opens. I had so much fun drawing it, and it made me wish I had this much color in my working space. And as you can see, I had to draw the same scene 3 times because I wanted to get closer and closer to the TV in each shot. But it wasn't a problem since I was loving doing these colors in this particular space. Because this is mostly a static scene where not a lot of movement is happening, I tried adding objects and cute elements of interest. Another thing I do is add a bit of motion to it by drawing some elements twice. So once we go into the computer, those elements have a wobbly effect. So for example, the elements in the background, like the chair, the table, and the drawings that you can see there, the little illustrations that are hanging on the wall, are drawn twice, and so they have that wobbly effect. And I also knew I wanted to have some funky, colorful cushions for the couch, so I went for it. I feel like this part of the animations became more of an exercise on interior design. But I don't know, maybe it's not as cute as I think. I don't know, would you live in a place like this? Hi everyone! So I thought I'd stop a little bit on the whole process just to show you what it looks behind the scenes and how I break down all of the scenes. So this is basically my second week with this project. It's one of the shortest ones that I've gotten, but also it's the first one that I try with this very particular style. A lot more color and a lot more backgrounds, and yeah. So usually I work here on Procreate. Well, not usually, I always work. Oh, an airplane. I always work here on Procreate, and when I get the script, I try to break the entire script into smaller scenes, and then I work on them, divide them as you can see here. I don't know if the camera is focusing correctly. I hope it is. I'm sorry if it's not sharp. I'm trying my best here. So I finished doing the frame-by-frame animations here and the backgrounds and literally anything that has to do with drawing. And then we jump onto, and then we jump onto Photoshop, which is where I separate all of the images into different layers depending on how I'm going to animate them, if they're the background and they're going to stay static, or if they are frame by frame animations. I sort of like number them so that once I go onto After Effects, I can use the feature that allows me to just make it into an animation. My dog is here. Yeah, I'm sorry if you're hearing a lot of like noise outside. They are still building a house next to my window, and yeah, my dog is here, so she's over there. There she goes. She's not used to being up here, so yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's the way I do it. I first work on Procreate, then I go into Photoshop, and then final touches and like full on moving animation goes onto After Effects, so the full final composition. And yeah, that's how I work. Just to show you real quick, here is what it looks like when you go into one of the smaller scenes, and I break those smaller scenes into even smaller scenes. So we have A, we have B, which is a different scene, and then we have C, and that's just the way it happens. So yeah, I've had a lot of fun working with this new type of animation, and you know, I have to think a lot more about backgrounds and colors and whatnot, but I really like these colors, so I might focus on them for a little while. They also gave me an idea for a comic that I want to do. I want to do a lot of comics, but that's a story for another day. So yeah, so that's pretty much how it looks on the inside. So inside each of these I have even smaller scenes, and here I am working right now with like this particular sketch that I did. I think I already have this over here. So yeah, so let's get back to work because I still have lots to do and I might finish quite late and I don't want that. So yeah, let's continue. So this is me drawing a bit more. I'll leave you to it for a bit and I'll be back once we get to the composition part of the video. So I'm back once more. We are in the final stage of the process where we place all of the elements and make the magic happen. So until now, I have an idea in my head of what I want the final animation to look like. And Procreate only allows me to animate on one layer basically, which means for every animated element I want to add, I have to do so in a separate layer or separate project per se. Meaning I technically can't see what the whole animation is going to look like until we arrive to After Effects and place together all the animated elements. So if I have, for example, like in this scene, the characters doing the fusion animation, plus sparkly animated stars, plus an animated texture on the background, plus an explosive transition, all of these elements were animated individually on Procreate and then placed together in After Effects. And this is why I usually animate scene by scene, from sketch to final animation. This way, if I catch any mistakes, I can correct them right away. But for the purpose of this video, of course, I divided everything into the different steps or stages of the process. Once in After Effects, I add the complementary animations by keyframing whatever I need to animate. So for example, in here, I just want the character to tap the papers they're holding on the table, so I just need to repeat the motion with the keyframes. There are expressions within After Effects that allow you to do this sort of thing, but I always forget them and I end up doing it manually because the time I'd spend looking for it is the same one that I would spend just keyframing it real quick. And yeah, compositing isn't necessarily my favorite part of the process, but once you get there and see the final animation, it is so cool and satisfying. So I am happy I got to do this video to show you what goes behind animating. Of course, this is just my process and it works for me, but it is certainly not the only one. And I'm not even sure it is the most efficient. But you know, I'm always learning and changing the process, and I am pretty sure that it will change a couple months from now, and that is okay. Anyway, thank you so much for sticking around and watching. I'll link below the final animated project so you can watch it once it comes out on Psychoghost channel. Have an awesome day! Oh, my pets are invading my room. Oh god, they both want attention right now.